And hello everyone, please wait us to for the we'll start in a minute about Rohingya refugees.
Is it mainly for Muslims?
It's mainly for general audience. So there you go. On Facebook we are live as well. So we go back to here and there you go. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. As you know, today we have run Sheffield 10K, and one of my colleagues, Mani Hussain from London. And by trade, what are you doing in London?
I'm a health and safety consultant, but qualified as an engineer. I live in London with my family, and it was a privilege to run for this a very good cause for the Rohingya refugees camps. We had a discussion that we would raise £5,000, and in the end we decided it wasn't enough, because when you look at the footage coming through and the number of refugees coming through, even £25,000 is not enough.
Not enough, yeah. I think for us, like local people, that
sure.
is.
I mean, obviously we do what we can to protest. You know, I went to the Myanmar embassy a couple of weeks ago to protest, which is all good stuff. The media, uses that to raise the concerns, awareness. We write to the MPs, but something like this is very good because it's something we can actually do. By committing to a charitable cause like this, where you say we're going to run along with the national charities that run in Sheffield. It's a 10K race in Sheffield, and all walks of people are here, or we're here, representing all major and smaller charities, and it was nice to come here.
So just to clarify, you come from London, so it is 3-hour journey with the car?
Yeah, I mean, just to put it into perspective, the race started at 9:30. We needed to be here for 8 o'clock or thereabout to register and get ready. So it meant that we had to leave at 4 o'clock or thereabout.
Midnight.
So midnight. So 3:30 we got up, get ready, meet and drive. But that's a small price to pay for when you think that the Rohingya people are crossing border between Burma and Bangladesh, and they're often having to walk in perilous conditions, hundreds of miles, being shot at, persecuted, chased, with nothing more than a few rags and few valuables they can take with the children, running to unknown area, crossing often dangerous seas, jungles, snipers, and probably had the family members torched, burnt, killed, raped. So compared to that, what we did is nothing. But it's a symbolic gesture.
And this is not a crisis emerged in the middle of like last month or something. It's like for 30, 40 years, they have been systematically persecuted.
Since 1971.
And because they are ethnic and not ethnic, actually, ethnically they are same as Burmese, but actually because they are Muslims, effectively, because of their religion.
Not all of them, by the way, but majority are Muslims, so it's also none. But that's not the point. They're human beings.
I thought, there is an element of being Muslim was a reason why they have been targeted as well.
That is certainly, there are a lot of geopolitics going on in that part, whether it's India, Buddhist, fundamentalists, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they are human beings, and human beings deserve to be treated with respect, given their freedom to live without being murdered and killed and torched. What makes this particular issue so painful when you see the footage is the pure brutality in which they're being ethnically cleansed. It's nothing like it in certainly my lifetime. Maybe Kosovo, Bosnia war was something that came close to it, which we didn't see too much of at the time. But this is so blatant, and the world just stood still for a long time. And as you mentioned, this started in 1971, so it's not a new thing. This latest wave started a few months ago, in which 400,000 or more in that period came across as a desperate last measure because they're just being killed. But actually, if you look back since 1971, I think countries like Pakistan have taken 300,000 refugees, 800,000 in other parts of neighboring countries. So actually a few million refugees have already left in the last few decades or longer. But it's not even the sort of numbers really, it's just the pure barbaric brutality in which they're being ethnically cleansed. And this world in 21st century, we're standing by, and it's frustrating. And any human beings with any emotions and self-respect for humanity cannot just stand by. And that's one of the reasons that I was compelled to take up this race as one in many measures.
Before we come to, it was this your first race, I'll ask that, but I want to ask people to, there is a page here that you can see the campaign address in a shorter version, but you can also donating, because you can see we are far away from our target yet. And the link is there, and please share the broadcast. I will host all the other, like people who take part in this marathon. So, coming back to you, do you do these sort of activities? Have you run before for charity?
No, as I said, this is my first time I've done it in my whole life. I've seen it, on London Marathon, and I wish I'd done it before, and I would like to do it again for good cause.
I mean, that's important, because many people, because we're wearing a special shirt now, they don't realize that, because they give us this at the end of the race with the medal.
That's right, yes.
Actually, I should put my mic to the medal.
It's very similar to this.
Yeah. So, many people think that you are a professional, or many people think that whoever does this does on a professional basis. But actually, this is your first time. And let's talk about whether you think it made a difference in your community, in your family, neighborhood, among your audience. And what was it worth to do that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there are many benefits of this. First of all, when I signed up to this, personally, I had to start running and getting fit. So I have personal benefits of doing exercise, running in the park, getting prepared for it. And when I sent out the details to my family and friends, they were obviously encouraged and were very supportive, and obviously donated as much as they can. So they also then became more alert about this particular issue affecting Rohingya refugees. So it's raised the awareness. And coming here, there are people, small people, old people, young people, and as I said, all kinds of charities. When I was waiting before the race started, I was talking to people, say, where are you from? And they were raising money for their loved ones who needed treatment. Other big organizations were represented there, cancer, people like that. So it's not for professionals, it's for anybody. And it's actually a fantastic thing to do. And as I said, it's the first time I've done it. And then murdered, it's your wife, your sister. And killed are your relatives. You really have to think on those lines. And then you feel for it. And if that was happening right now with your family in Leicester, in Huddersfield or London, would you just sit there and watch TV and give a few £100 away? Or would you actually be compelled to get up and do more, protest, write letters, donate more? So please, this is a long-term issue. It's not about just giving something while the media focus is on these refugees.
Can I hold you there? One thing we underestimate, like as normal citizens, is our power to create the change, because often politicians follow the lead of the people. So let's say, unfortunate event, there was an attempted bomb attack in London, and Rohingya was,
sidelined.
Yes, sidelined as an agenda from there. But the problem is, Facebook is there, Twitter is there, Periscope is there. There is no reason why we shouldn't be able to talk and promote this agenda, bring it back to the debate until that gets the attention that it deserves. Because yes, sure, it is very important. Thousands of people fleeing from Texas and different, and that have an importance. But there are thousands of people running away from something that we can avoid by pressuring the others. And for that reason, I want everyone just to remind, not only to support, but also to share wherever you're watching this, because it is important that this issue is talked more. And this event of running is actually a reason to bring it back to the conversation. People from London, people from Leeds, people from different places, 10 of them almost come together, run to raise awareness, and hopefully there'll be more other people doing similar stuff, and there'll be more to done. And that is our way to influence the narrative.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the media is unfairly treating some subjects more importantly and less importantly in some areas. But it's for us to, as human beings, as people of the masses, to raise this focus. And we're lucky because we're living in an age where we have now social media, as you said, over which the mainstream government or the media people have no control. So we need to use the tools that we do have and raise the awareness through that and get together. And this is happening, which is fantastic. So we live in a good era.
I think the Grenfell Tower, for instance, like it would have been ignored if it wasn't the social media, if it wasn't the people showing and asking and demanding, like responsibility from the politicians that brought Theresa May to the scene, although she was booed. But the idea is that we can actually make a difference if we insist on talk about that issues that are really, really life and death.
We must never underestimate the power of individual person to actually raise social concern at local level, in the community level, with the local representatives, whether it's councillors, MPs, right to the newspapers. We know these things. So the list is endless. It's for you to do something. Just please don't sit there, feel sorry, and keep WhatsApping to people the bad images. Do something. I have friends and families who did that, and I said, please don't do this anymore. Now take action. Whatever the action that might be. Come to the demonstration embassy in London, do a run, raise money, write to somebody, but just don't keep sending WhatsApp alone. I know, useful they are, you've got to do more. Action is much more powerful, however little that is. And that's what I would say to everybody.
And the fact that it dragged on 40 years shows that there isn't enough action.
Correct.
Thank you very much, Mani. Actually, you have been like a good team leader.
Thank you. You've been very inspiring, and it was nice to race with nice people. And
yes, I'm looking forward to that last second pictures of us trying to pass each other. By the way, I finished the race in 1 hour, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. And Mani finishes 1 hour, 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
So we are separated about 1 second possibly, but that might be a quality of timekeeping.
No, thank you. That's definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mani. I'll take it and I'll have another host. And in the meantime, you can always see this link at the bottom of the screen and donate to us. And we will be live checking how it is going in here. Like as you see at the moment, it looks like we're having 25,000 our target. We have 83 people donated, and like we have reached 5,523.75.
Just a final comment. Please don't be stingy. Go out and dig deep. You will be rewarded. You'll feel much better for it. I promise you. Just try and test it. Give whatever you can and more.
Thank you. It will go to them. Like it doesn't come to us. Actually, it effectively goes to the charities. We're just we're just promoting the cause. As you know, Virgin Money Giving takes it automatically to the charities account.
It's a national organisation, Virgin, as you know, and the money goes straight to them through this setup, and so nobody actually sees it, and there will be no money spent, hopefully, on admin costs. So every penny you give will go straight to Rohingya people, and they will benefit. Even £10 will buy them enough food for a week. So think about that one. £10 will waste on what? One burger somewhere. So please think about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mani. Okay, now we're going to have another guest to raise awareness. My running mate, Özcan Keleş. Can we put this on somewhere like safe? That's brilliant. No, it's okay. We'll go as we like because there's no program. We will go as much as my friend here warned me about whether we have time limits, and I said, we have a time limit that shows you 25,000. We might have to talk about this forever. And all you have to do is just retweet, reshare, and share this on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, wherever you're watching. We are not able to see what we are saying there. Maybe I'll try to catch up with that later. But here is another runner, one of the fastest today. Özcan Keleş, a barrister, non-practicing barrister, a lawyer, and doing a PhD. And also was doing a building work and spare time and come. Thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All the way from London. So, why are you running for Rohingya victims? What's your...
having seen the images and the story unfold in the news, I think the question is, how is it that we don't do something for the Rohingya refugees? Persecuted, killed, maimed, raped. We're talking about children being ripped off their mothers and thrown. I mean, some of the stuff that I read, it sort of stays with me and has stayed with me for a long time. So, I don't think we're doing. I think it's very admirable what the team is doing, but personally, I think the least we can do is to come here. Yes, we all have busy lives. I'm currently sort of project managing a building work. I've got a PhD that I need to finish desperately. A lot of things happening in my life, as in everyone else's. But coming here, driving up to Sheffield over 4 hours, doing a 1 hour run, and then driving back. Some may feel that this is a bit of an inconvenience. But what is it compared to the people that have to make the journey from Birmingham?
Hundreds of miles and kilometers.
There's one image that stays with me where there was this gentleman that had his mother, his mother on one side, his father on the other side. And I just think of the kind of heartache, as I was running this race, and as your muscles start burning, you start, breathing heavy, your heart's pounding away. And I'm thinking, I just thought of him. I thought of what kind of heartache is he having? Because he's trying to get his mother away, he's trying to get his father away. And what about, so really it's nothing doing what we're doing, but it needs to be done. We need to raise awareness. We need to raise the kind of money that's needed for these people. And the irony of ironies, I guess it comes with the kind of things that are happening, is that the people that need it most have the most difficulty accessing the aid. Because of the political situation that's created this mess, they can't get the aid.
Yeah.
So,
for the record, Malaysia, first of all, although there is a border with sea, I learned it from Kerim Balcı that they don't allow Rohingyas to flee there.
Yeah.
It's like Egyptians blockading Palestinians almost. And Bangladesh has too much of the refugees, and I understand that, according to their level, they have more than altogether Europe had so far from Syria, more than a couple million at least, as far as I know. It might be lost arrivals, might be up to 1 million last decade maybe. So they don't want more refugees, so they're very strict about this. Meaning they need more help. If they get a lot of help, maybe they'll change their policies as well, if the rest of the world. And surrounding countries seem to try to stay away.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. If nobody cares, why they have their priorities. But as a barrister and as someone who born and raised in London, what do you think the impact of this sort of grassroots activities can have, really? After all, we raised, 5,500 so far? Let me see whether there is any changes. No. Maybe I need to just refresh the page. Let me refresh it and see whether there's any difference.
I'm hoping nobody's deducted any money since I've started talking.
Okay. So about the grassroots activities to first of all, to create awareness, to help some fund. Can you tell us about the importance of it?
I'm not somebody to lecture you or anybody on this, but I think that it's all about grassroots, Ismail. Even if the governments didn't have the kind of inertia that they have, if they didn't look away as they do, even if they were inactive as they are, even if they did what needed to be done, it's the grassroots that makes the difference. And we are the ones that elect our leaders. People they are a reflection of us. If we don't like the leadership that we see, the political leadership that we see, the religious leadership that we see, well, that's a reflection of who we are as a society, as a community. So really, we're just looking into the mirror. And we're seeing people making pointless platitudes and not taking action. And really, that's just a reflection of us. If the grassroots took this issue seriously, then that would change. The political leadership would act in ways that could resolve this. The United Nations would act in ways that could resolve this, because demand is what drives this kind of this behavior. So even if this could be resolved from the top down through elitist activities without grassroots intervention, that would be great for the people that are suffering. Of course, we'd want that, but it wouldn't be sustainable. We need grassroots activism to create the kind of ethical foreign policy. We need to demand that. We need to demand that we take action, and it's the people that will do it. We're the ones. We're not without power. We do have the power. We can create that kind of change. We can bring things around. We just have to believe in it. We have to get up and do something about it. We need to force through legitimate, democratic, political processes, through awareness, through campaign, the things that we want. And you'll see the governments respond to that. It's almost predictable. I mean, it's not about, at the one level, it's not about them becoming ethical. It's about them wanting to win the votes.
Yeah.
And if this is what the public wants, and giving them what they want will give them continuation of government, then they will do that. We have to change in the way that we are. We have to like politicians less that seem to be clumsy, that seems to be haphazard and funny, but really don't do anything that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a reflection.
We're trying to refer to someone.
Not necessarily, but I mean, look, where have we come into civilization? It's the 21st century, 2017, right? And we're allowing this to happen as people, as human beings.
And in some cases supporting, like with Britain, first of all, giving some military training to Myanmar. Even after that, when they were asked, we're teaching British values of combat, for instance.
It's just
and then we
selling them into, not just them, but other states, rogue states, other states that are engaged in persecution. I mean, sadly, our government here sells arms to these countries,
Saudi, to Turkey,
Saudi, to other places. They sell them intelligence gathering equipment, compact,
so that they can crack on their opposition,
but
and
not
persecute more people.
Not just in that country. They sell them compact intelligence gathering equipment. You know what that means? Those countries can import those equipments back into the UK, right?
Yeah.
And then use that equipment here on UK nationals, UK citizens. And we're doing that because Brexit has created a kind of economic vacuum that we weren't anticipating, because we're willing to sell out our values, our principles. And this kind of approach doesn't bring about justice, it doesn't bring about meritocracy, and it perpetuates the mindset of the double standards in the world. I mean, that's what it does. This in itself is a tragedy. But this can have an aftermath effect. You know, the Bosnia War, I was younger, teenager when the Bosnia War was happening in the middle of Europe. And thousands of people were being killed and slaughtered, and we watched it happen. And that became a radicalizing tool.
Yeah, that is.
And this faces the risk of being the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we don't have, we have to stand up and say, look, no, this is wrong.
I mean, I don't want to sell this as if you really care about prevent and radicalization, you should do something. But there is a real influence between, for instance, when people see that governments doesn't do their jobs, doesn't intervene in Bosnia, and then they blame the governments. This is the foreign policy effect in a way, and they feel like they have to do something. So something which could have been avoided by humanitarian help and diplomatic pressure becomes an extremism problem. That's why many people actually drawn into terrorism. That's the fact. And now in Myanmar, this will grow within the rhetorics of the extremist preachers, and they will say, look, they don't care. Nobody cares. As far as you die millions, they don't care. They only care when something happens in London. So they will use that and abuse that and recruit more people because it looks like foreign minister doesn't, put his weight on this. The prime minister doesn't care. Actually, they see this is a way to get some extra money from a country which has difficulties with human rights.
I mean, as the public, we need to be more sophisticated. We need to understand it. And the other thing is, it's not just about what they say. I mean, if Boris Johnson stood up and made a more robust defense of the refugees, if the government stood up and criticized Aung San Suu Kyi, more clearly and robustly, that is not it is either. I mean, that's not the end game, because we can't be fooled by the rhetoric. We have to look at substance. We have to look at what really is going on. And I mean, that's
can I intervene in that point? This is the other thing. In some ways, I was in another Myanmar event when it started, and 2 MPs were there in Dewsbury, and it came about how Turkey intervened in the right time, in the right way. But the problem is actually that becomes even a tool for political manipulation. I've seen the Turkish news and the English version of it skillfully avoided the correct information. The correct information is, yes, Turkish government send Myanmar 1,000 kilogram or tons of aid and give it to Myanmar government, and ask Myanmar army to deliver that to persecuted Rohingya refugees, which is like effectively, they say we're helping Palestinians and sending the aid to Israel army and say, there you go, can you give them away, sort of. And that becomes a double standard within self if we don't ask the right questions. Like, who did you send that? How is it going to reach? Is it going to really reach, or is this just a political show to gain more popularity in the eyes of some or many?
Yeah, and it's absolutely. I mean, I don't want this to become a thing about hitting on other governments and saying how they've gone wrong, because they have. But that
my point is just to chase the like when you say chase the narrative, what they are doing actually. Like we have to keep questioning.
Sure. I mean, a top United Nations human rights official said, we welcome the fact that Turkey is taking an interest in the crisis in Burma and raising the humanitarian crisis there. We encourage the Turkish government to take the same level of interest of the human rights violations that are being committed in Turkey on Turkish soil. And this is the massive hypocrisy. In the past 2 years, 500,000 Kurds have been displaced in southeastern Turkey. We're talking about 400,000 Rohingya refugees coming into Burma, into Bangladesh. 500,000 Kurds, Turkish citizens, right, have been displaced, made homeless. 200,000 have been dismissed from their jobs without disciplinary procedure. 17,000 ladies have been imprisoned. 100,000 people have been incarcerated in Turkey without political incarcerations. These are internment of some sort. So, we, as I said, as citizens, as activists, as human beings, we need to be sophisticated. We need to stop being fooled by the kind of political maneuvering that people are very astute, very good at displaying, and really just ask for an ethical, consistent approach. We don't want people. I mean, at one level, somebody asked, "What's happening? Why is this happening?" At one level, there is no reason that can justify ethnic cleansing and genocide. There is no reason that can ever justify that. So that should stop. Somehow, we should put our weight behind it to make it stop. If people are being accused of a crime, then the rule of law should apply. These are the principles that we stand by. And we must stand by that. And we can't have this double standard.
We should question why they get or how they can keep the awards they have, like a Nobel Prize, which seems very interesting. I'll check how much it is now, and we'll move on. As a last one, what would you say? Is this working? This sort of activism, do you do this often? Or are you a professional fundraiser in this sense? Or like many are we, you're just trying to do your bit, and do you see any benefit in this?
I'm completely unprofessional. I don't take a pride in saying that in terms of campaign or this type of activism. I mean, I didn't train at all for this. I came relying on the power of the donut to give me energy to get through it. This isn't something I do all the time. I mean, I'm not disrespecting people that do it all the time. I'm just somebody that feels that I need to do something. I do have a background in volunteerism. I am the chairperson of a charity that promotes dialogue. I try to commit my time to that. But campaigning or running a marathon is something that I've recently tried to do, especially with this particular crisis. In terms of your first question, does it make a difference? I don't know. I'm just trying. We're trying.
We'll see. It may.
I don't. Until we find a better way.
Yeah.
So today was Sunday, the 24th of September 2017. This is what I could do. And tomorrow, if there's something else that I can do that's better, that I can do it, then I'll try to do that. I have no loyalty to running a marathon necessarily. It's about being able to help people in the ways that we can.
Thank you very much for taking part, joining, and breaking your own record in running 10Ks.
Yes. Much appreciated.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you can share the program, we are going to continue with our next guest. No, they'll have to come. Go get them, please. Okay, the other guests are being shy about not to join or give some, of course. And you bring the next one. They may be afraid, but it's okay. This is a very friendly environment. Okay.
Hi everyone.
Gulistan Hassan is with us. Gulistan Hassan is a teacher from London, and she ran the marathon. Is this the first 10K marathon?
This is my first 10K, yes.
And
I did a 5K one before. I did struggle.
Twice as 5K.
Yeah,
and at the last bit it becomes like 3 times harder.
definitely. But the more people I saw, the more like encouraged I became, because I saw a blind person run. I saw a disabled little girl running. At one point I saw this young boy who was supporting his mum, and I thought, who am I to stop? So I kept running and running, and I made it really.
And what do you think, like a marathon running as a fundraising activity? Do you think it works? Like, would you advise people to do similar stuff, or what could be the alternatives?
Definitely. It comes to show that people are going the long mile to achieve something, not just talking about the problem, but doing something and taking action. And people who are sitting at home kind of question, okay, they are aware about the problems, but these people are actually on the streets doing something. And it kind of brings people the question mark. And I like that, because then it pushes people and could be a reason for them to do something as well. So I think it works, especially, being a teacher myself. When my students see that I'm running and doing all these charity works, they know that, life is not just about achieving your career, finishing university. It's about doing things for other people as well.
So, in that sense, I think you've organized the hiking in Sweden before, and you have done some other, fundraising campaigns for orphanages in Africa. So, compared to that, was this one harder or easier?
I think it was easier. My most challenging one was climbing Mount Snowdonia. That was very, very challenging.
I see. And that's like is it called Three Peaks, or what was the challenge name? Because there is a walk that's effectively a walk, but you're climbing.
Yeah, we took the most challenging one.
Yeah, I see.
We did it with my siblings, and my brother said, let's do the most
hardest
challenging,
one.
The hardest one.
Okay.
And we went with it, and we actually achieved it. And I think
so. This was like easier.
This was easier, definitely.
So have you trained for this, for instance?
I haven't.
So anyone without any training
Exactly
can do this. It's just the after pain that
definitely. Like my legs are aching, but it's worth it. We've raised how much? 5,000.
Let's check.
Let's check quickly.
Maybe there might be. We raised 5,000, but I'll have to check. Maybe in the meantime, somebody might donate another £10 because.
Does that include the gift aid as well? Because
yes, there is a. You see, we have all in 35-40 minutes. We have one more donation we have received. So with the gift aid, total amount is £5,628.75.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage the people who are listening right now, the page is going to be open, so feel free to sponsor and share the link and get the message across. So
I mean, like, if you can't support even £1, then someone else can maybe support. So it's still you're making them aware of this activity. I don't think there is a lot of pages that can help. There is a lot of charities started already responding to crisis, but when we started, it was very hard to find one that would take the aid or send the aid to there. So that's why we stick with the Time to Help, which is you mostly volunteer, and UNICEF to be the channel for this. And all the money you send will go through them, and we'll feel slightly proud maybe that at least with the common effort of all people who have sent their support and donated for the cause, maybe it will be able to be a good thing for 1,000 people in there.
Definitely.
And that's a good thing.
Thank you for all the sponsors and all the people who have helped us achieve this. It really does mean a lot to us, and also the people who are there in the crisis currently.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gulistan. I think no other, like the other running mates. What was their name? Apart from
we've got Hassan and Rahim
and Sumaya. But
yes.
they are too shy to.
I think they're also tired as well, so I don't really blame them. Yeah, they just.
So hopefully we will continue similar activities, and until these troubles are over. Thank you very much for joining. I want to just try a couple of last resort things. Yeah. So far, so far many of our friends have joined and watched and see what, show their support. I want to thank them all, and I want to just finish this call with an end credit. Thank you very much for supporting these broadcasts as well. Hopefully I will see you soon again, and maybe we'll be talking about something else. I hope this was a helpful broadcast. Thank you very much for joining and listening for 35 minutes of the marathon and the fundraising about Rohingya refugees.